Randy, would you like a date?
Good.
Sounds like we're gonna see some trees being planted here. They're actually planting an all new orchard right now. We have rocks at home, but we don't have many spots like this. There are a ton of little rocks in here.
Quite the operation out here.
Oh my gosh, this is crazy. I doubt the camera does this justice.
These slopes.
So down there where they're working, where they've got that all stepped up,
yeah.
Will they put trees there or not?
Yeah, there's trees there. All these cartons, so you can see these trees already are planted right here. So those trees down there have already been cut and pruned and those cartons put on them. So those are all trees right there where it's stepped. Are you talking about over there on the next hill?
Way over there, yeah, on the next.
That's all right.
Maybe that's what's in there.
They'll be terraced, so there'll be trees over there.
On those terraces?
Yeah.
Wow. I don't think the camera can do this justice, how steep some of these hills are, the rolling hills here, and how many acres we're talking about over here. I mean, this is, oh, man. Do you know how many acres this is?
500.
500?
Yeah, I think
contiguous.
To me it looks like more, but
it is huge.
It's huge. So that dozer's pushing that dirt right there. He's creating a terrace. So there'll be a nice flat surface for any of the tractors, harvest equipment. You're not going to be, falling over.
They'll still get trees in there.
They'll still get trees in there. Yep.
And they'll irrigate all this.
Yep. So they'll have to, the pump system that they'll have pressure regulators to make sure that you're gonna have the same pressure as you're climbing the hill, because all that pressure, you don't want to go down.
Right. We got the pump right here coming out of the deep well, which they did it on top of the hill, I'd assume, for gravity flow purposes, but right now they're filling up their pond down at the bottom there. That pond is gonna be used to irrigate all these acres. So those are all filters for the irrigation?
Yeah, sand medias.
How often do you have to clean the sand out in those?
You can I don't know, it's like every 3 or 4 years you can take it out and redo it, but.
After a quick joyride in a pickup, we're over here watching Frank build some terraces. So they're terracing the ground here because the slope is actually too much. So to make it level when you're working on it, they're going to step it down like a staircase here, and that's what Frank is doing over here with the D6. There's multiple other places on the property where you can see that they've been doing this, and they're waiting to plant the trees on it until they've got these terraces done and got them right, but they'll actually put the trees kind of right in the slope here. That way the machinery can work in the flat spots, the shakers and the trimmers and everything can work in the flat areas, and the tree will help prevent some erosion actually. Look at the amount of rock in this. It seemed like it was less rocky, I don't know, 20 miles back on the other side of the field. It's not actually that far, but it felt like it when we drove back here. But you don't see it when the soil's wet and he's working it like this. But I suppose once it rains, it just exposes all that. It's a crazy amount of rock in here.
So this extremely good-looking guy right here is proof that if you don't want to work for someone, you don't have to. Garrett, this is Garrett Fowler from Fowler Brothers. We were on his dozer yesterday playing around. Garrett, tell us just a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so started farming when I was 21. Worked for a guy out of high school as a farm manager, and then started doing my own thing. About 26 years old, started real small, farming 6 acres and doing it on the weekends and at night. And just worked really hard and started knocking on doors, cold calling people, and yeah, just kind of made it happen.
What all do you do? What are your hands into right now?
Yeah, so we do there's kind of three branches of it. We do the land prep, which you guys saw yesterday, the deep ripping, all the disking, and the berms, tree planting. We do the farm management, where we manage other people's farms for them, like absentee landowners and investors. And then we also do our own. We lease ground and then farm our own properties. So like where we're at right now.
And how old are you now?
30.
30.
Yeah.
Golly, started at 26. That was fast.
That's awesome. I think I know why his mirror's missing on one side.
I got sideswiped. That one's not my fault.
Oh, sure. By a tree or a rock or something?
Another truck.
A dozer.
A dozer, yeah.
There's no hunting out here, is there?
Yeah,
So she's obviously handing him the trees, and he's watching the lines, spearing them in right on the line. So they have GPS'd these lines. You can see the horizontal lines right there. That's where he's putting the trees in. Just like that, we have a row of trees.
When they're planting them, they kind of lean them towards the northwest direction because our winds come from the northwest and come southeast. But they can't just leave them like this, and so afterwards they'll have crews of guys come through. There's just one right now, but they'll have a crew come through, and they're gonna pack this back down all around this tree. They're packing it in, and what they'll wanna do is eventually they'll have shovels. They're trying to get down to here. This is where that graft is. So this is your peach rootstock right there, and then here's the almond tree. You want that to be above ground. And so they're gonna come back through and they'll move this dirt, kind of pack it back down. And then eventually the rain and everything like that will settle all the rest of this back down.
Let's find out.
The neighbor over here is running the shredder. So these are the branches on the ground after the topper has gone by. And now they come through and they just make mulch out of them, just pulverize them with this machine. And then they'll leave them there, let them sit, and they'll just rot away. That way they're being worked back into the soil.
Hey, no, you're good. Hey, I'm sorry about your dad, and how's your mom doing?
She's doing good.
Trevor Bills.
In person.
I know, you're even more beautiful than I thought you were.
John, good to see you.
Good to see you again. Randy?
Are they spicy? Did you get the spicy ones?
No, I know that the shell is physically hot.
Oh.
Have you ever had them hot? Yeah. I didn't know. I've only had them cold. Ever.
Oh, yeah.
That's weird.
I've never eaten an oyster. Trevor loves oysters. Randy said there's no way he's eaten one.
Not a chance. It's a oyster.
Not a chance.
Do you keep the shells as a souvenir?
If you want.
Holy cow, that's really hot.
That's why it's like, dude, I don't know. Is it burning your mouth? Dude, the shell is smoked.
Yeah.
He's just an animal.
He's just calloused.
He's next
What's
level.
that? Who's read it? Well, I don't want to burn my throat.
The bread just goes to the side?
Yeah, just for the sauce if you want. That helps. The bread helps wash it down.
Wash the oyster down in case it gets stuck. Yeah, that's fine. It's a cornfield.
Why is it still there?
I don't know, but I haven't seen corn in months. Certainly not the whole time we've been out here.
Right.
It's tall. Look how tall it looks.
You told Becky not 5 minutes ago that we haven't seen any corn yet.
I did. So we're out in an area now northwest of Stockton, California. They call this Roberts Island or the Roberts Islands areas. I don't know. We'll guess at it, but I know it's Roberts Islands. And all these huge actual islands are separated by these, I don't know if they're canals or if they're natural. What do you think? Are those natural? I kind of doubt it because it seems like
we're built up driving on a levee.
Yeah, it seems like the fields out to the side are actually lower than the water.
Right.
What island are we on? Ringe Track, but it's technically an island.
It is an island.
And you guys are preparing, this is a rice project?
This is a rice project.
Meaning you're leveling the field out, and I assume you're building the dikes here to hold the water back, so they can flood it in sections?
Yeah, so our water source is up there, they'll come downhill. There'll be risers. We'll put, there's some down there, splashboard risers. This builds a little bit higher than that one. It'll spill over that riser and then go into the next one.
What was growing here before?
Corn, tomatoes, wheat,
Whatever.
alfalfa, just row crops.
And now will it be rice year after year?
It's for as long as we can. If we have to rotate out, we can rotate out and grow wheat or corn or...
Again, whatever.
Yeah.
How many feet below sea level are we? I don't know if you guys can see that on the camera, but we're a ways back from the dike that we came in on, but we're like 13 feet below sea level right now.
Yeah, maybe you might be able to see a boat drive by.
You see a boat because there's another channel right there. We were talking when we first came in. Was that was the landowner up there? And he said that this island alone was 7,800 acres, almost 8,000 acres on this one island. I believe he said there were 20 some islands in this area.
Yep.
And it's not an island like exactly the way I would think about it back home, where we have islands in the middle of the lakes. This is huge land masses surrounded by these huge channels. We're actually standing below that water level right now. So we've got one rig going over here. He's got the tandem scrapers. This is Toyota land leveling, working on this right now. And then we've got 2 rigs over here. So they're running what they call 3 tandems, meaning we got the two scrapers behind the case tractors here. How much dirt does each one of those hold?
Each one holds about 15 yards.
15 yards?
Yeah.
So 30 yards in the tandem there?
Yep.
So you got about 60 yards on you right now here.
Yeah. Yeah, we have scrapers that hold a little more, some will hold a little less. Just depends.
And like the 450 handles that just fine?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
It's a monster.
It's a monster, he says. We were talking to the guys here explaining how much this soil looks like ours back home in Minnesota, but the difference is these guys they said 22% organic matter. So it's powder, it's so light. I don't believe back home on our stuff you would ever pull this amount of dirt with a 450 Steiger like that. I honestly think you'd need a 600 horsepower quad track, and I don't even know if you could pull a tandem. But that's all just me speculating because I've never done any of that. So take it for what it's worth, which is not really anything, I guess.
Basti, B-A-S-T-I.
Basti. Mike, the guy who is running this operation, is not here right now, so I'm gonna have Randy explain what they're doing.
They're tiling. This is my wheelhouse.
This is your wheelhouse.
Yes.
This is what Randy's been the most excited about.
Correct.
We saved it for last.
Yep.
So this has got a great big chain on it. They're obviously using GPS here to get the depth to it, and that chain will spin around like a chainsaw. Then you got the boot there that's installing the pipe behind it. Randy, give us an explanation of what Lidco's doing here.
They're backfilling with rock. So that box up there, they fill with rock. That's why these sand piles are sitting around.
Oh, the rock goes right in the boot?
Yeah, so then it comes out. There's a chute inside there. So it's backfilling with rock to this height. And then dirt on top. So it's just encasing that pipe with rock.
So it's getting rock on the bottom and the sides and the top of that pipe?
Yep.
And does that just allow better flow to the pipe?
Yeah.
So it's essentially like having a bigger pipe, I suppose, because once water finds it, it'll flow in?
I know we don't deal with peat moss a lot, but I know with peat moss, you can seal off those perforation lines.
Okay.
So they do make like a muck pipe and different things to help with that.
Yep.
But they're doing the rock around it so that the water, otherwise them slits in the pipe will seal off and not let the water in.
The perforations.
Yep, so the rock around it's allowing water to be able to flow in there.
Here you can get a look at the sand piles they've got spread throughout the field. That's what Randy was talking about. So they'll actually load that sand directly into the boot and feed it around. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that was a thing.
So the other reasons they're trenching, for the same reason when you get in the peat moss, if you pull a plow through like ours, you'll smear those walls so hard. And
it won't flow? Water
won't flow for many, many years. We have a freeze-thaw cycle. We also go through that helps for that.
Yep.
Plus, we're not in this, and he's talking like 22% organic matter here.
So
this is peat ground.
That's the reason for the trench, the chain, instead of a regular tile plow. That makes sense.
They're not going to get as much done. It's not as fast, but they're actually removing the dirt, trenching that line in, and then putting that dirt back on top.
So now they'll backfill these lines.
So
they got a V that's closing them, or?
Yeah, in the front of that backhoe, he just went by and he's closing. He'll run up each side of the line.
Okay.
And then close that trench back in.
All right, we talked Pepe into firing it up just so we can see how that chain works. There you go. So you can see the sand pouring through there where the pipe's going to be going. This digs the trench, there's the pipe in it, the sand. And we got our, I suppose you call them augers right there, pushing the soil out to the side so it stops going down into the trench. So this stuff isn't as black as what we were just working in on the island. This is a lot lighter color, but it's got a lot of moisture under there. This stuff is wet. Sticky, heavy clay. Sticking to my shoes. Rangers.
Oh yeah.
This Ranger's a little quiet.
Extremely quiet.
Brian's got three electric Polaris Rangers. Whoa. Ooh, we're going rednecking. All right.
I mean, there's never been one not to take on a
I've never flipped an electric vehicle. Heads up.
Don't run over Ryan's dog.
So this right here is 120 acres of almond trees that Ryan's family just planted. Just got finished like last week.
We're in our almond orchard right now.
Right in his backyard.
But this tree at the very end right here we call the fruit salad tree, because every branch coming off of this tree is a different fruit. So one could be like a plum, maybe apricot, peach, something like that.
Why do you do that? Is that just for personal, so you grab your own fruits?
A friend of ours said, hey, I got this tree that's got all these grafts on it. You want to see if it'll take off? We're like, yeah. So we planted it, and yeah, we got to prune it up. We never really taken care of it just because you're so busy in the orchard.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's pretty neat coming out here and seeing all the different stuff on it.
So I thought it was cool when I learned that they use the rootstock to grow the different trees. But here, they're growing multiple trees on one rootstock.
Yeah, multiple.
That's crazy.
And then not only that, so with almonds, they're usually on a peach rootstock. So the peaches usually have just a stronger root system, a little more tolerant of like soil-borne diseases and things like that. And so we have a peach rootstock on all these almond trees. And so what happens is if a sucker starts to grow from the bottom, a couple trees we let them grow, because then about July or so we'll be out there and you'll have peaches on your almond tree.
Nice.
You pick off.
Trevor, you gonna hop in one?
We race.
So these are the orchard sprayers that Ryan's got out here on the farm today.
They're called halves. They're actually, that's the name for them, is the herbal assault vehicle.
Really?
That's the real name for them when we bought them, is the halves.
That is a cool name.
Herbal assault vehicle.
Got the joystick? That's for when you fly it.
When you shoot them.
So that's actually your
The bogeys.
So yeah, missiles are on the right. Your machine gun's on the left. So the throttle is actually right there.
Okay.
And then this right here is your hydrostatic transmission. So you push that forward, go forward, pull it back, go back.
Okay.
And then controls right here, opens up our boom.
Do the booms have a breakaway on them in case you hit it? Yep, you're gonna need that sometimes. Okay, I'm gonna drive an orchard sprayer. Basically just like the combine as far as the hydrostatic goes. Farther forward is faster. Bring it back to center. Got your throttle. Going 6.7. They definitely need a wiper on here. There's a lot of dew on the windshield, but I'm getting pretty comfortable. Let's see what kind of speed we can get out of this thing. I got it up to 14.
Nice!
Yeah.
You were zooming.
I was. It's not quite like the BMWs, but it was fun.
So yes, we just bought these orchard tractors a couple months ago. And one thing that's pretty unique with almond orchards or orchard tractors in general is that we have to get these cabs custom made for us because it's such a small tractor. And so we got to get these cabs made. And so these cabs are not cheap.
Why do you need a smaller cab?
Well, because we're going through the orchards and you don't want to get whacked in the face if you're on an open cab tractor.
But what if you bought a tractor with a cab? You know what I'm saying? These are custom cabs for just for the orchards.
Oh, because John Deere doesn't make a orchard tractor cab.
Why do you think they will?
I sure hope so. So these are not cheap. So just the cab alone is about $30,000.
Are they taking the original cab off this, or was it a cabless tractor?
They take the entire kind of rear half off of the tractor. So these are custom made fenders. So they take the fenders, they take everything off of the tractor. And then this is a whole unit that can come off. So when this cab comes off, this whole thing comes off in one big piece. And then they add like AC and add all that kind of stuff to it.
Will you take this cab, say you upgrade tractors or trade tractors, will you take this cab to the new one? Or will you trade the tractor in like this and have it?
Trade the tractor in like this and have a new one put on.
So those controls over there and stuff, I've never driven this model, but those controls, are those the same?
Yeah, that's the same Deere controls, and they take it off and set it on in the cab like that, kind of more of an angle.
Sure. A little tougher for tall guys to get in.
Yeah, not the comfiest for bigger guys.
Nothing is.
This is our flail mower, so we'll go through the orchard, and this was kind of a mistake that we made. We're new orchard growers, and so you think, okay, our orchard rows are 22 feet apart, and so you want to have a wide mower that can hit that whole strip of weeds or grass, but not realizing later on that we go through and we spray the strips, and you can spray pretty wide, so you really only have an 8-foot strip down the middle. So we could have gotten a lot smaller mower, but it worked out great because with our chicken ranch, that's certified organic out there, and so we can't spray the weeds out there, so we have to mow them, and so actually having this wider mower worked out perfect for out there.
I love a freshly mowed lawn.
I didn't expect it to do this.
This is pretty wet too. It's doing a good job. There you can see as he drives through here why they want the lower cab on it, the stronger cab. So they were telling us that once there's actually nuts on these trees, the limbs get a lot heavier and they hang down, so they'll be scraping on that tractor. So a big part of the reason you want that cab is to make sure you're not knocking the nuts and the flowers off when you're driving through here.
Why did this whole row bloom? Like this whole row is full bloom and the other rows are like half.
So this row is a different variety. So there's 3 varieties of trees out here and they're all on their own single rows. So this row right here is called the Aldrich variety. The next row over is nonpareil. The next row over is wood colony.
Then it starts over again, the Aldrich.
Yeah. So every other row is nonpareil. That's the money maker, but they can't pollinate themselves. So that's why we have 3 different varieties out here is for cross pollination.
So you have to harvest them at different times?
Harvest them at different times.
So you shake them all and you still got to do all the sweeping.
Yep, so you do all the nonpareils. So you shake the nonpareils, sweep them up, or let them dry for a week, sweep them up, pick them up, harvest them. Once that's done, we'll kick on the water, let them drink a little bit, and then we'll start harvesting the 2 other varieties because they're far enough apart now that they're not going to get crossed. You know, you don't want to mix your nuts.
You ever have a guy accidentally shake the wrong tree and then mix your nuts?
Yeah, that's happened before.
Do you have a nut sorter?
Yeah, so there's at the processors, they'll be able to tell if there's a problem.
Like
and it's yeah. So not necessarily they shook the wrong one. Is we have a couple spots out here because this is all mechanically planted, which we're going to go see in a little bit. What happened was they were planting nonpareils and an Aldrich tree from the nursery happened to get mixed in a bunch with the nonpareils. So you'd be going, all of a sudden you can tell, oh no, this is a different variety.
Very peaceful.
Welcome.
Action. So this is Farmington, California. So this is my family who's had this ranch for over 100 years. The original homestead is that little ranchette down there. That's since been sold off, so that's someone else now. There's an original barn, but that's it. But we've had this ranch, and it's been back when they first bought it, late 1800s. It was I don't want to ruin your shot. I'm trying to. So it was dryland farming back then. So they would have the teams of horses up here, and they would do wheat and things like that, even with all the fun rocks and everything that's up here. But then they ran cattle and sheep. And so they would drive the cattle and sheep from this ranch here to that ranch we were at in Oakdale. So they'd on horseback, and they had about 8,000 head of lambs out here, and they would take them into Oakdale.
The 30 miles?
Yeah,
And
horseback
down
Main Street, Oakdale. So Main Street, Oakdale to that ranch that we were at.
Untrailered. They'd run them
No, they'd be on horseback.
on horse, but the lambs are not trailered.
No, the lambs are on horseback.
The sheep. Yeah.
So you had to have one
Not
horse
lambs.
for every lamb. It was a real pain in the neck.
You could put, I bet a horse could carry at least 6 lamb.
Yeah. So anyway, so
Make
that's
little
what they did up
seats
here.
for them.
It's a 6 lamb horse.
We would like to. We've thought about. We'd like to plant this into almonds, or we're thinking high density olives, something like that. But this is endangered tiger salamander territory.
And do you remember that from the podcast? Once he said it, I kind of remembered it.
Yeah.
How silly is that?
So it's endangered tiger salamander territory. Doesn't mean we can't plant at all. It just means there's areas that we can't plant. And it makes it a whole kind of nightmare trying to figure that out. You're having to pay a ton of money to have these studies done. And it's kind of just more of a headache than it's really worth.
How many salamanders I think are out here?
They have no idea. I've never seen one. My dad's never seen one. My grandpa never saw one out here.
Well, they're endangered.
And they also, so they have on their website, it shows that they have coordinates that shows where there was a tiger salamander spotted out here in 1997. Well, that means they would have had to have come onto our property, like it was into a couple hundred yards in to our property to see it because they're tiny. And then we went to that. We took actually a biologist lady out here, And we found those exact coordinates, and she's like, there's no way they saw a tiger salamander right here.
Liars.
She goes, they stay in these little ravines. She goes, they do not come out to this open area.
You can still plant it, but there's certain areas that you couldn't?
Certain areas that you couldn't.
Is it decided on, like, you can go into the NRCS office or whatever your equivalent is, and they can show you the areas you can't plant?
So we would have to hire, that's where it gets expensive. So we would have to hire a biologist to come out, and she would physically have to come out and mark the areas off and with flags. Okay, you can't, and it's the deep ripping. That's the part that they don't like, is the deep ripping.
Sure.
Part of it, because you're ripping. They burrow.
Yep.
And so they don't want the deep rip. So she'll flag off where the dozer can't go through and deep rip. I know that she's been out. We had her out here before just as a consultation, because when she does the actual study, that's where it's costly and takes time. She just did a consultation where she came out and just kind of looked at it, and it was. I remember her saying, okay, this area, no, this area, yeah, this area, no. And we're kind of looking at it like, man, we would have this jumbled mess.
It'd be a mess.
And that's how a lot of there's a lot of orchards still out this way on these rolling hills. And that's how a lot of those orchards look from above. I'll show you. You can see just all these patches where there's nothing planted there.
Sure. That's a big one, Trevor. There's a nice looking bull, and there's Trevor doing stupid stuff. I'm very nervous for Trevor right now. So Trevor gets $100 if he can flick the guy.
I tried to flick his balls.
I didn't know, I had forgotten about the flicking challenge till he ran around the car like this.
I almost lost $100 there.
It would have been worth it. I'd have pitched in.
Oh, for sure.
You consider yourself lucky. Next time you're in a situation where a bull is making you nervous, just do the universal symbol for this. They run every time. There's our final California sunset, right behind a blooming almond field.
This is goodbye.
Well, see you later.
Thank God, I thought we'd never get rid of him.
And then we flew home, where it is currently about 85 degrees colder than it ever was in California. I've got a long list of people I want to thank, honestly, for the trip we just took, but it's all written down right here. I'm gonna go in where it's warmer. This is gonna be a little bit of a longer rambling clip because I actually have a lot of people to thank. And this is gonna sound cliche, but I wanna start with people that actually watch the videos here and the people that support my channel. That's the reason we were able to actually do this. And we would love to do more trips like this in the future, but honestly, the reason we were able to do it is because of you guys and all the people that helped connect us with other people throughout the tour. I mean, this was a week-long deal where we literally jumped from place to place, farmer to farmer, and we used other farmers to get us those connections. And only about half of this was actually planned out ahead of time, and it all worked out. It was a lot of fun. So first off, I'm gonna thank a bunch of people. Most of this is in order from beginning to end, but I got a few people up front here. First off, Randy and Trevor for joining me on the trip. I know you guys had fun. I know it looked like a vacation, but it was honestly, it was fun, but it was also a working vacation. Check out Master Pipe Layer on Instagram, that'd be Randy. Instagram, TikTok, and probably all the other things as well. Same with Trevor, that would be at Bales Hay, particularly Instagram and TikTok, and YouTube. Trevor also has a YouTube channel, so check that out. Second off, that's just the heater starting. It's always done that, I don't know what the deal is. Second off, Ryan Volk and his family. Thank you guys so much for the hospitality and for Ryan for lining things up and getting us going from place to place and connecting us with all those awesome people. Mama Volk for the hospitality and the breakfast and for everything you guys all did for us, the whole family. We are very appreciative of that, and of course, our condolences for your recent loss. But we just want to thank you so much for helping us out and for getting the viewers content as well. Then Scott Bailey. So Scott was able to connect us with the BMW driving experience at Thermal Raceway, where we had so much fun on I think it was day one maybe. I think that was day one. And then also he connected us with Mark Tadros the next day with Packhouse Events and Aziz Farms, also on social media. Scott connecting us with Mark provided a lot of opportunities and a lot of content for us. And Scott, you're welcome, of course, to come run our tractors, combines, trucks anytime you want. If nothing else, come visit the farm and I'll buy you a couple beers. But thank you for that. We moved on then. Now's where I get to the list. So Johnston Family Farms and WN Citrus, believe that was day 2, where we came through the lower Bakersfield area there, and you guys showed us around. Check them out also on the social media. And thank you guys for spending a good chunk of your day with us and showing us around there. That was some really interesting stuff. I learned some stuff there that certainly I was not aware of, so hopefully the viewers did too. The Welker boys, the Welker family there, Scott, Bob, and Nick for jumping on our podcast, spending some time with us that day. Had a lot of fun there at the World Ag Expo up in Tulare. So hopefully we can go out there again next year. That World Ag Expo was a lot of fun. We saw a lot of people that it was good to connect with, and we did record an Off the Husk podcast. So if you guys are fans of Off the Husk, just a warning, it's not the YouTube channel. That is not a PG rated podcast, but it's a lot of fun. We sit down, have a couple cold ones, and talk farming and other random stuff. Whatever happens. So if you guys are interested in listening to us talk with Scott and Nick, you can check out Off the Husk podcast everywhere, wherever you get your podcasts. Next up, Fowler Brothers Farming, who helped us out with the D11 Cat. On one of those days, we jumped out to the D11 Cat. They also helped give us a tour of on a whole different day, of the 500-acre almond orchard that they're actually busy building right now. So they helped us out a bunch with that. You can check them out on social media, along with tree.barber. Showed us some equipment. That was a lot of fun. Reese Farms, Phil, Paul, and Dave for showing us around. That is the honeybee guys who are located not too far from us where they've got their home farm, but they move those bees around all throughout the year. They're on the road a lot. They were a lot of fun. It was a ton of fun to visit with those guys and really get to know them. We went out for dinner later as well, so thanks for dinner, guys. Ed, I don't know your last name, but he also has a podcast called Hoisting Heavies. I haven't checked it out yet. I haven't listened to it, but I certainly will. So thanks for showing us the equipment there, Ed, and for the craft beers that he gave us to try out. John at Dutch Hollow Farms, thanks for visiting us for lunch. Foyata Excavating, Petrini Land Company, and Robert with Sun Harvest. You can check out Sun Harvest, of course, on the social medias too. Those guys helped hook us up there out in the Delta area where we were checking out the rice field projects that they had going. So that's kind of the list that I got put together now. I'm sure I forgot some people, and I apologize for that, but all those people literally just fell into place and were there to help us bring you guys content and to show us around. And hey, you guys, I know the reputation California has in the rest of the country, as well as most of you probably know that too, but there's a lot more to California than their politics and their beaches. I mean, you can go from the beach to the mountains to the desert, and then you can go snowmobiling or skiing that same day. It's so diverse. The amount of agriculture out there and what they are pumping out of that state is extremely fascinating. Totally different from anything we do here in the upper Midwest. There's a lot of logistics falling into play. There's a lot going on out there. So keep your mind open on that. And again, I hope that we can do this again. If you guys have any suggestions for where would be a good place to go, let us know. Potentially another visit to California would be good, because we only made it about halfway up that valley. So another visit there I think would be awesome. But this is my like ending credits, and I'm sorry I rambled on so long. Hopefully a few of you are still with me. Thank you to everybody, including the people watching. Okay, I'm out.